guys, it is Dani'i and welcome to this updated video on the tropics. And so guys, in this video I'm going to be giving you the latest on tropical storm Elsa, and we're also going to be talking about conditions across the North Atlantic and when we could potentially expect to see our next tropical cyclone development. And so guys, before I go into details, okay guys, and so first let's kickstart things with Elsa. And so as of 11 a.m. EDT, Elsa has sustained winds of 65 miles per hour and it is accelerating to the northwest at 14 miles per hour. We have quite a bit of watches and warnings that are in place. So we have a tropical storm warning that is in effect for most of central and western Cuba and also for most of the western coast of Florida. And then we have a tropical storm watch in effect for sections of South Florida and the eastern section of the Florida Panhandle. So Elsa is expected to be making its way inland maybe by the midweek, and of course weakening is anticipated afterwards. So it's going to be accelerating into southeastern Georgia, South Carolina and North Carolina, and then it's going to be making its way out, moving parallel to the east coast of the US. And so expecting some re-intensification on Friday. So when it moves inland by the midweek, it is of course going to weaken because it is not going to be having anything to fuel it, and it is going to be accelerating back into the Atlantic by Friday, and that is when we're expecting that it is going to be over a bit of favorable conditions to enable a bit of strengthening, and so it might re-strengthen to a tropical storm from that time when it would have weakened to a tropical depression. And so it's going to be bringing tropical storm-like conditions to portions of the southeastern US, and so a lot of heavy rainfall is anticipated as well as some strong winds. But the rainfall and the surge, those are going to be the main problems when it comes on to this tropical cyclone, or in any tropical cyclone for that matter. So it's always the rain, always that water that causes most of the destruction and loss of life. And so guys, I'm imploring everyone to be affected by Elsa to please take the necessary precautions and stay safe. There are a few fatalities already, especially in Cuba. As of yesterday, I think there were 3. I don't know if that death toll has risen. I hope not. But guys, please take necessary precautions and stay safe. And so guys, now let us go on to the satellite view of Elsa and see how it is looking here. And so here we have it. So Elsa is not looking very organized, but we do have it expected to be making its way into Cuba later today. It's going to be bringing those very dangerous conditions. And here in Jamaica, we're experiencing some of the outer bands of it. Very overcast here and a bit of rain in some areas, but nothing like what happened yesterday. Yesterday it was a lot of flooding, especially in the eastern section of the island. If you haven't, you can see the latest videos that I have behind this one showing the destruction that was caused here by Elsa. And so guys, now let us move on and see what conditions are like across the North Atlantic. So first up, let us take a look at the wind shear. And so the different colors here mean different shear intensities. We have the greens meaning favorable, the yellows being neutral, and the reds being unfavorable. And so right now Elsa is going to be remaining in favorable conditions. The only thing that is going to inhibit significant strengthening is the land interaction, because of course it is not going to be over those warm ocean waters, and also when it passes over those high terrains of Cuba, that is really going to be helping to rip up the system. So it is not going to be in entirely favorable conditions, but it is going to be bringing dangerous impacts regardless, and there might be slight strengthening when it emerges into the most easterly side of the Gulf of Mexico before moving into Florida. And so as for the rest of the Atlantic, we have the eastern and parts of the central Caribbean being unfavorable. We're seeing those reds, and then out in the Atlantic, this doesn't go all the way to show all of the main development region, but we have favorable shear. And so you might be thinking that maybe the waves off Africa are likely to develop because of this, but actually there is another factor that should be considered that seriously impacts our tropical cyclone. So let's now go on to the map of the Saharan dust. And so the Saharan dust is just dust coming from the Saharan desert in Africa that is carried westward by the trades. And so the different colors here, like the wind shear map, show different amounts of dust, how dense it is in the atmosphere. So the yellows mean that it is relatively light, nothing too significant, but as we head into those oranges, going to the red and that pink, that is when we have dense dust, and that usually helps to prevent tropical cyclone activity because it is dry air and tropical cyclones need warm, moist conditions. So all that moisture is going to be inhibited, which means that there's going to be limited shower and thunderstorm activity. So it is likely that our system, the waves coming off Africa, even though the wind shear is going to be favorable and ocean temperatures are warm, development can still be inhibited, or is likely to be inhibited due to the dense Saharan dust, because we do see those oranges and those reds stretching across the main development region, especially going eastward as we're approaching the coast of Africa. So they're really going to be having a time to struggle, and this dust is going to be moving westward, so it is going to be affecting the Caribbean. So later down this week we can expect a lot of hazy skies. The time is going to be quite hot and dry, so guys, please be prepared for that. Here we have two weather extremes. We've just gone through Elsa, and now we're going to be facing some heat, and so it's not very easy as we're in summer now, but we're expecting a bit of improvement as time goes by. And so now let's go on and see what our models are showing. So let's look at first the GFS modeling. So this is next Monday the 12th, and GFS is picking up on something in the Caribbean. And so guys, if you're not sure, this is a map showing the isobars, which are lines of equal pressure, and the closer you see them in a circular manner with a pressure below 1030 millibars, that is a low pressure system usually, or tropical cyclones. And so take a look at that in the South Caribbean. So we see 1004 millibar low, and so this is quite interesting. We're not seeing the isobars really coming together because of course it is very close to land, so because of that proximity it's not likely to be developing much, but that looks like maybe a strong disturbance, strong area of thunderstorms and deep convection right there. And so let us go further to Wednesday the 14th. So 2 days later we don't see much coming off that, but we do have a lot of moisture persisting in the vicinity of Central America. And so GFS doesn't show much development going on, but yesterday when I looked at the run, it was picking up on two systems making their way from in the Caribbean into the Gulf and intensifying, hitting the same area twice in just a space of a few days. And that would be absolutely crazy. That would be like an Eta Iota scenario that we saw last year with Central America. And so we definitely don't want to see any of that so early on in the season. Now let us move on to CMC. So CMC is picking up on a low pressure system in the South Caribbean as well, but not showing much developing. But take a look at that in the Eastern Pacific. We see like a tropical storm trying to develop in that region. So CMC not showing much going on. Let's move on to NavGem. And so this is Sunday the 11th, and so we have that low pressure system in Mexico, in northern Mexico, not from the Atlantic, but it is showing a lot of moisture in the vicinity of the South Caribbean and showing a low pressure system there as well. And so going on to Euro, we don't see Euro showing much happening for the North Atlantic, but it is also picking up on that system over in the Eastern Pacific. And so guys, our models here are kind of varying, but we have quite a few agreeing that there will be a low pressure system in the vicinity of the South Caribbean. And so during the month of July, however, that's not typically the origin of our tropical cyclones. So usually our tropical cyclones develop as waves when they move across the North Atlantic and approach the Eastern Caribbean. They make their way into the Caribbean, go into the Gulf, or they can move into the Caribbean and make their way up to the East Coast, or they can even go out to sea. They don't even have to affect the US, guys. And so that is usually the tracks of our tropical cyclones in the month of July. And so this is kind of what we're seeing here with Elsa. Elsa made its way when it's close by. It became a tropical storm. It became a hurricane just as it was crossing over Barbados and emerged into the Eastern Caribbean. And when it was in the Central Caribbean, we had a bit of weakening. So that is kind of the scenario that we saw with Elsa. I would say it's certainly possible that we could see another named storm before this month ends. And so we're going to really have to pay attention to the tropics, as I said. And the next name to be used for this season is Fred. And so guys, again, please take necessary precautions and stay safe if you're to be affected by Elsa. And it is possible that before the month ends, we could see another system developing, and we're having our models picking up on a low pressure system developing in the South Caribbean by the coming week. But again, this is not guaranteed to happen. And so guys, that is it for this update. And if you found it to be quite informative, please give a thumbs up, and you can also share your thoughts in the comments or ask a question. I'll try to respond as best and as soon as I can. Just remember to always breathe wise, and of course I'll keep you updated as time goes by.